Good morning. Welcome to the UIL THSCA webinar post UIL Legislative Council meeting that was taking place over Sunday and Monday, and that's basically what we're here to talk about today. I want to thank Dr. Elza and Coach Pope for joining us today, and they're just one day removed, or about 12 hours removed from Legislative Council, so they're still reeling just a little bit, but appreciate you guys joining us, and want to thank the UIL for the leadership and the process that we go through at Legislative Council. Curtis Rhodes chaired the council meeting. Curtis is the superintendent at Needville and did an outstanding job and has fulfilled his chairman duties and is turning that over. Greg Poole from Barbers Hill, the superintendent at Barbers Hill, is the chairman of the athletic committee, and we rely on those guys and their wisdom and their leadership. I want to thank them for all that they do. As coaches, a lot of times we never are able to attend UIL Legislative Council meetings, and with technology today and the way things are today, and hopefully y'all were able to do this over the weekend, but we encourage you to attend Legislative Council meetings, stay up with how these meetings operate, stay up with the current news. They have UIL has a very slow, very deliberate, and a very successful process that they go through to be able to pass a proposal. This is where you learn about rules and rule making and proposals that become maybe a study item by UIL and eventually become a rule in the state of Texas. And so it's an important process, and we appreciate the manner in which UIL conducts these meetings and provides leadership for us throughout the state of Texas. The Texas High School Coaches Association was represented. We represented our board of directors and you at the Legislative Council meeting. We had a couple of comments and then one proposal. The first comments were dealing with our survey and how we are attempting to survey you as our coaches to be able to help create a positive narrative so you can utilize the statistics located within those surveys. And part of what we talked about on Sunday morning was the survey that from a week ago, actually 2 weeks ago now, I guess, that dealt with over 20,000 athletes within the survey and 1,700 coaches. And we do this to try to create a positive and a positive narrative that is factual. And so 20,000 athletes, 1,700 coaches. Of that, since the start of cross-country football and volleyball seasons, 99% of the athletes and 98% of the coaches have been able to participate in practice and games, which is a great positive narrative for us to follow. And those stats are on our website. If you need them or interested in them to help you have a narrative and in your school district, with your team, with your booster club, within your community, they're there for you, and we encourage you to use them. And we appreciate you participating in those surveys with us. The second thing we talked about was where we are with Friday Night Lights, live streaming of Friday Night Football, and the rule that was made in June of 2020 to allow live streaming this year because of COVID. It was a great decision, a very positive decision. A lot of people have appreciated it, but we want to make sure that's a one-year deal only, and we go back to securing that Friday night for community spirit and community in-house, going to your own local game and not streaming that in the future. And then we presented a proposal. The proposal was dealing with 60 minutes additional time of strength and conditioning, whether you're in season or off season. Presented that proposal to UIL Council. Dr. Elza, Greg Poole, Coach Pope, that athletic committee elected to study that. They will discuss that a little bit more, but wanted you to know that we're there trying to represent you and help you. There's a time period where it's really hard and difficult for all school districts to be able to get all their athletes in one weight room at one time. And so this would allow us to have a true athletic period that is dedicated to skill development and have a time to be able to lift weights and strength and conditioning that is outside of that athletic period. And we think it'll be very beneficial. Hopefully we can get this passed. But like I said earlier, it's a very slow and deliberate process, and we'll keep this on the table and see where this will go. But Dr. Elza, Coach Pope, thank y'all for being here. I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and y'all take us through what we need to know from what just took place the last couple of days. So thank y'all very much.
And if I have a spotty internet connection again, then Polk's going to have to pick me up. I don't know what's going on with my internet. And yes, for all of y'all that texted me yesterday and told me to upgrade and spend more money, I've got the best I can get. Just sometimes technology lets you down. Joe and Glenn, thank you. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for including us on this webinar. Several associations have started some opportunities for us to be able to get on here and speak to coaches and athletic directors and just keep them updated. And these have been so resourceful and helpful to the questions that they may have. And we can talk in broad strokes to people. So just coming off council, that's always just such a stressful time for us. Just trying to prep and get it right for our council members and get it right for our member schools. And a lot of credit goes to, obviously, to all the credit goes to our leader, Dr. Charles Braddup, and Deputy Director, Dr. Jamie Harrison, or pulling all that together with athletics and music and academics and all the moving parts and having to do it via Zoom. It's no easy task, and we made it through. And as always, our council is a shining star for us, provided great leadership, great correspondence to us concerning just some of the challenges that schools are facing. And I think it was very productive. I'm going to just hit the high points on, what happened in council, and just talk you through a couple things, and then I'm going to kick it over to Polk. He's going to talk about some of our sports that are going right now. We're heading into postseason, and just maybe give you some tips and some things to think about and to navigate your way through as we continue through these challenges of COVID-19. For our athletic committee, we had 3 items that we studied, and we ended up taking no action on those. But for you 1A folks, 1A volleyball, softball, and baseball that compete in a competitive district with 2A, I know your long-term plan is to hopefully move away from that, and we're not done with that. I think volleyball is probably the most ripe for the picking. I'm using some country terms there, but they're close, and in the next realignment, we're going to reevaluate that and see if we can at least make that move with volleyball, where they compete in a 1A district for volleyball in the 2022 alignment. The $5 increase for officials was another study item. This year we just gave a $5 increase to the officials. The council approved that last October, and that another $5 increase came forward. A lot of our officials associations had recommended that we pull that back, and our sports officials committee did as well. So the $5 increase for next year will not be happening due to the one that just occurred. Junior high athletic start time, we continue to look at that, but that's not one that has gained any momentum. So we'll just continue to monitor that one and come back to it. Written proposals, Joe just talked about the proposal that THSCA had. And if you listened to council, you heard myself and I believe Dr. Braddup and even Dr. Harrison maybe weighed in on it. The way, the challenge with the 8-hour rule and the law that surrounds that makes the way that it was proposed challenging to approve in council. The TGCA, Texas Girls Coaches Association, had a similar, I think they were different. I don't want anybody I'm not being unrealistic here, but they were similar in the time that they're asking for just a little bit of additional time or maybe just some tweaks to the time that we've given. And, what the council, the athletic committee recommended to full council was that number one, we do study it, but we're also going to have some sort of survey that will go out in the spring and will come back in June. Y'all know that we've modified a lot of our rules, and probably one of the biggest modifications that was agreed upon by all of our large organizations was to give the hour of strength and conditioning outside the school day. But because of state law, we were a little bit handcuffed on just being able to offer that to off-season sports. So we're going to continue to look at that. I know, I mean, when you're on those Zoom meetings and people either like something or they don't like it, you get a ton of text, and that's just how that rolls. And we did get a lot of comments on that saying, I don't know if we need it. Y'all heard our council have some reservation about giving more time. So I think that that's one that's just got to continue to be reviewed and studied. And again, that survey will be very helpful from our schools. The second thing, the next item that was on there was from our Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association, and they had asked for more time for pitchers and catchers, which ultimately ended up in the conversation that we knew it would lead to. Is what about softball? What about the other sports that have throwing motions or repetitive motions to where you got to do some injury prevention, right? And so that one is one we're going to continue to study. Matter of fact, I'm looking forward to this conversation today. I'm going to talk to Rex Sanders, their executive director. Going to visit with Joe as well, because that's an organization that also represents baseball coaches, and see if we can tweak that or maybe modify that in some way to either encompass more sports, which again would involve other associations, or see what we need to do. I think injury prevention is key. Everybody could argue that strength and conditioning is for injury prevention, but I'm hoping that we can work through that one and land on something really positive for everybody with that. So that's a study item for us. One of the things that we did take action on was a change in the mileage ring. It will not negatively affect anybody. I know a lot of times as coaches, or ADs that y'all may not completely understand our processes, but dropping that last mileage ring for the people that are far reaching will be good. And it will save people some money, which is always good. It was only voted on in committee and will go to full council in June. And then the final one, water polo. Water polo, it was a pilot program for us to start in 2021, and it has been delayed for a year. We'll have that discussion again probably this time next year. Everybody that's a water polo people, do not freak out. It's going to happen. The climate right now is not right to be adding activities. We also did the same with 2 music activities. That's a hit in a nutshell. I'm going to kick it over to Brian. I'll probably be hopping in on a couple of these things because I know our staff, Joseph, Brandy, AJ, myself, and Polk, and then you can include Jamie, Mark Cousins, Dr. Jones. We all get a lot of calls that are very similar, and we're getting a peak now that we're heading into postseason. And I'm going to have him talk you through what's coming down the pike and hopefully give y'all some tips that will maybe help you as you go into postseason. Polk?
Yeah, just kind of give a state of where we're at with our fall sports, and we are rolling right now. Now we're rolling with challenges, and we know we will continue to have challenges in all of our sports. But team tennis, volleyball, cross country, football. We've got basketball right around the corner that's fixing to start up, and we feel really, really good about where we're at. And know we're going to have some adversity and some challenges all the way through it. But our coaches have done a great job. Our athletic directors have done a great job of using our protocols and working through these challenges. And, if we were to all be sitting here back at the beginning of July, when this was all hitting really hard, and to say that we're sitting where we're at right now, we feel really good about where we're sitting right now and having kids out there participating. So we appreciate all the work that y'all are doing in your schools and taking care of kids and making sure safety is first. Just give you a few dates. Team tennis, the 24th, the end of this week, is district certification. And then their state championships are going to be on November the 17th. So that's coming around the corner. We've got volleyball district certification on November the 17th for 1A through 4A. And then their state championships will be in Garland at the Colwell Center on November the 21st. October the 31st, coming up pretty quickly, is our district certification for cross country. Then we will, of course, 2 weeks later roll into the regional meets and then have our state cross country meets, which is new this year, on November the 23rd and 24th, going to a 2-day meet, trying to make sure that we keep our kids spread out and our community spread out with each other. And then, of course, we're in week 9 for football, 1A through 4A. We've got all of our classifications going. And, I think Joe hit on this earlier. We've got teams having to cancel here and there, and we usually see the negativity of that on social media right now. But when you look week to week right now, we've got over 90% of our games being played. And that's a great thing. That's a testament to you and our schools and our coaches taking care of kids, using the protocols. And when you do have a positive case, if you've got to cancel, y'all are doing a great job of working within your DECs and moving those and changing those. And like I said, we feel really good about that. And 1A through 4A football is coming to a close here pretty quickly. So that's kind of where we're at with our sports. Just to hit on some highlights of what some of the calls we're receiving right now. Number one is, I think y'all have seen some of this in social media platform as well, is tiebreakers, forfeits, no contest, those type of things that are going when you are having to cancel games. And the one thing Dr. Els always likes to say, talking about DEC minutes, and hopefully people that understand this throughout the state is, none of us knew exactly what was going to take place when we got into this year. So when you went and did your DEC minutes before the season starts, you probably had a great plan. But now, that plan may need to be changed depending on different circumstances that have come up. So what y'all need to remember is you can always go back and meet as a DEC and update your minutes if you feel you need to, from a no contest standpoint, from a playoff scenario standpoint, a tiebreaker situation standpoint. And we've got a lot of our DECs throughout the state that have been doing that. And if you need some help with that, you can call any of us, Dr. Elza, myself, any of our assistant ADs, and we will help you through that process. We're certainly never going to tell you what to do, but we can give you some recommendations of what we've talked with other DECs that are doing that we think work really, really well from that standpoint. Dr. Elza, anything to add on that piece of it?
No, not at all.
But just know you can always call us. We know there's some odd situations, and Dr. Harrison hit on this at our legislative council many times. A lot of people want us to put out some language that kind of solidifies everybody using the same protocols within their districts, and understanding that every COVID situation is different from one district to the next, from a 5A or a 6A program to a 1A through 4A. We've got different amount of programs, 8-team districts, 5-team districts, they're all different. And there's no perfect answer. There's no perfect solution. But get together with your DEC, make sure that you're keeping what's best for kids in the back of your mind, and y'all are making decisions on what's best for kids, and keep the gamesmanship out of it. Y'all know when you get halfway through the year, if you come back and redo your DEC minutes, gamesmanship now can get involved with that. And we all need to keep our emotions out of it and make sure we're making decisions on what's best for kids and not just what's best for our program. Another big question we're getting right now is from 1A through 4A folks, volleyball and football really going into the playoffs, neutral sites, playoff sites, so to speak, home and home. And we've gotten the question quite a bit of, can we come back right now and give the top seeds in volleyball and football a home field advantage? Because 5A and 6A programs are playing, we may not have a lot of sites to be able to play with. And, we've talked about that at length in our office and have been for the past couple of months. And just to give you some background, this was a proposal that came up at our legislative council meeting over the last couple of years for 1A through 4A home field advantage. And it was not voted in favor. We did not vote on it. We took no action on there because we didn't have enough schools that wanted it. And for us to come in now at this point, halfway through the year, and even at the end of volleyball season, and put that in place, we don't think that's what the majority of our schools would want. And to give some type of advantage at this point to people in the first round of the playoffs, knowing that you can still flip for home and home. Knowing that you may not get the home field advantage, but we've got places that we can play. You're going to figure that out. You're going to be able to find a neutral site. And knowing that district is kind of what we talked about before the year, the two corresponding districts can still get together at this point. May be tougher to get it done, but could still get together and agree to do that our top 2 seeds are going to get home field advantage and our other 2 seeds are going to travel. Y'all can still do that at this point. Volleyball would probably be very difficult to get that done at the end of the year. Right now, and for some of the football, it may be difficult to get that done, but that is still in play if you choose to do that. So there's a way to get that done. But I don't think at this point we're going to come to the conclusion of giving home field advantage for volleyball or football 1A through 4A for the first round of the playoffs. The other thing I just want to add in there is we're sending out correspondence weekly for different sports, whatever it may be, and make sure you're reading all that, especially during this time. We know you get a ton, you're busy, you get a ton of emails from different folks, but for whatever sport you're coaching, make sure you read every single piece of language that we're sending out so that you have an understanding about what's taking place moving through the year and getting into the playoffs and all that good stuff from a UIL standpoint. We always post all of that information on our websites. Make sure you go to our COVID informational documents when you go to our specific sport pages, and not just our manuals, because those are the documents that we're updating on a weekly basis should we have updates. So that's really all I have from an update standpoint. And Dr. Elder, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, great update. Just to echo what he said, guys, don't be afraid to change your DEC minutes. I mean, we've all been taught don't change things midstream, but you see some things where people are trying to force forfeits. Don't forget, you shouldn't be doing that. It should be a no contest anyways. Everything should be able to be resolved at the DEC. It shouldn't have to go to the SEC to be resolved. And Polk said it best. Do what's best for kids, and you're probably going to land just fine. 5A and 6As, we sure do see you trying to force some forfeits in volleyball in the first round when you have the whole second round to play. Again, flexibility. Our best advice is do what we're doing. We're learning from football and volleyball. So when we go into basketball, which starts next week for girls, we are going to modify the things that we need to modify, and we hope our DECs will follow suit. That's the primary thing. The exception to the school week, Dr. Harrison worked really hard with TEA to get that piece in there. I think that's going to give some relief to our volleyball teams that lost some games due to COVID. But the one thing we need to clarify is that exception to the school week doesn't include football. Okay, football can only play every 5 days. That's a safety rule that can't be changed and can't be modified even in light of a pandemic. We have got that question. I'm hoping we're going to put some clarification on that soon. But that exception to the school will help. It's only for varsity district games. It is not for non-season, for non-district games. It is not for sub-varsity games. So keep that in mind. Basketball, we're ready for you to fire it up. Soccer, you're right on their heels. And we'll be getting some information out soon about the soccer, the softball, the baseball tournaments. We feel like they will happen. We just kind of got to draw a few boundaries on them. But the outdoor sports definitely have that advantage over the indoor sports in the ability to play those tournaments. So, we'll continue to tell you this because we tell ourselves, this is our mantra to ourselves, be resilient. You have to. I mean, some days are really hard and this is a really negative environment and you guys got to trudge through it. That's what we're built to do and continue to do so. We're playing. I know it's a very proud moment for y'all when you look out on those field and see those kids play. I know you have, probably the hardest job in coaching that you've ever had, but keep doing it because it benefits kids and we're able to get seasons in. Postseason is going to be a battle. Y'all know it is. We don't have a lot of extra dates to offer schools. So there'll be some tough decisions made, just like you're having to make in your local districts right now. So hang with us, be prepared to pivot at any time, and good luck to basketball as they begin their season next week.
Dr. Elza and Coach Polk both mentioned it, and when we were dealing with all this back in July, none of us believed we were very concerned we might not be where we are today, and we're able to go play a volleyball game and run cross country and play football right at the moment, and hopefully we get into the postseason and we're able to get it done. But the jobs that athletic directors, coaches, and trainers have done since June to be able to get us to this point is really hasn't gone unnoticed, but it's certainly gone unappreciated by a lot of people because they have no idea what you guys are doing. And it's the hardest job in the coaching profession that we've ever had. And we want you to know how we feel from this office that we really, really appreciate what you're doing. And it's about kids, and it's about trying to create that environment that is safe to be able to have our programs, to be able to do the things in athletics that athletics does. And that's not really winning games. That's winning lives. And it's really important to all of us on this call, and I know it is to everybody listening, that we continue to do the best we possibly can. And Brian mentioned gamesmanship and the DEC rethought process potentially is try to take that out of it and try to do what's best for kids and what's best for our programs and get us to the end gate. Hopefully we get to celebrate championships. That's what we're after, and that's what we were talking about back in April and May, and how we could get into strength and conditioning starting in June. But the end gate and the goal was not to get into that, but was to celebrate championships at the end of our seasons. And we're getting closer, and you guys have done a really good job to getting us to this point. Just keep fighting the fight and doing the things that you're doing and keep us moving in the right direction. I can't tell you how much we appreciate Brian and Susan, but all the UIL staff and everybody that's involved with everything that has helped us get to this point. And we're here to help. If you have a question, you need to call Glenn or myself, feel free to do that. I know Brian and Susan answer a lot of questions. Their phones ring all the time, and they do a great job of communicating. And we appreciate them being at your beck and call and ours. And we probably call them more than you do. But thank you guys very much for your leadership and the things that y'all bring to the forefront. Coach West, you got anything? Susan, Brian, I didn't see if we had any questions out there.
I don't see any.
I didn't see any either. Well, we're good. I appreciate y'all jumping on here. I know you have a busy day. We'll follow up on some of the things that we talked about earlier as well. So thank y'all very much. Y'all have a great week and a great end of the day, and we'll follow up on our calls later today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.